From KLCC Studios, this is Oregon on the Record.
I'm Michael Dunn. Today is Black Friday, the beginning mad dash of shopping during the frenetic holiday season. For most, that means getting up early and heading towards national big box retailers, or perhaps even more so, going online and clicking items from some of the biggest e-commerce businesses in the world. But what about local retailers and shops, quietly going about their business on Main Street in our cities and towns? What's their place in 2023 among all the massive brick and mortar and virtual stores? Is shopping local still a thing? And what benefits does it bring, not just for the store owner, but for the community at large? Today on Oregon on the Record, you'll hear from local businesses throughout Oregon who are not just retailers, but a part of the very fabric of their community. They've gone through a lot these last few years to overcome the challenges of COVID, inflation, and supply chain issues, but they're still standing and believe their place in the community matters more today than ever. According to the National Retail Federation, Americans are going to spend between $957 and $966 billion this holiday season. And while that river of money is concentrated among the huge national chains, the small retailers and shops in our community have a vital role to play. After all, there are a lot of benefits to shopping local, especially during the holiday season. According to the Small Business Administration, shopping local keeps money local and stimulates the local economy, reduces the carbon footprint from shipping, and creates more local jobs. Additionally, small businesses donate almost 250% more to local nonprofits than large retailers do. Today on Oregon on the Record, we'll talk with some small retailers throughout Western and Central Oregon and talk about how they're doing, what they're doing to enhance their communities, and how they've overcome and are overcoming the obstacles of the last few years that have created historic challenges in our community. On this show, we'll introduce you to small business owners and organizations from the coast to the Cascades who'll tell you why they love being a small retailer and why they matter to us all. First, let's travel to Bend and meet a couple of retailers who survived the pandemic by embracing the outdoor ethos of their customers. Dan McGarrigle, owner of Pine Mountain Sports in Bend. Thanks for joining us on the program.
Oh, you bet. Of course. Thanks for reaching out and inviting me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, why don't we start with the real basics to talk about Pine Mountain Sports, what it is, what you do, how long you've been in business, that sort of a thing.
Yeah, sure. So we are a bike and ski shop located here in Bend. We have very fortunately had the privilege to overstuffed garages full of expensive outdoor gear for the last 23 years. So we opened in 2000. And generally speaking, I like to think where, on the surface, what we do is pretty self-explanatory. We've really based our business on, as simple as it sounds, providing an outstanding experience to everybody that comes into our doors while working to be a resource to our entire community here in Central Oregon.
Wow. Yeah. Which, Central Oregon, obviously, an outdoor sports mecca. There are lots of places that people can go for their biking and skiing retail needs. Do you think that because you've been in business for so long there locally, do you think that's one of the reasons why, people choose to shop with you?
Sure. I like to think that it is. Since we've opened our doors in 2000, though, the landscape of retail has changed immensely, and it's constantly evolving.
Sure.
But I think what we've really found, though, is that foundationally, especially for brick and mortar stores, and especially for smaller communities like ours, the opportunity to build and establish relationships still goes a very long way. And I think that's really that really is for us the foundation of who we are and what we do.
I imagine too that buying skis, buying bikes, those are expensive items. People want to make sure they get the right thing, and they want, I would imagine, to be able to talk to knowledgeable people about that purchase. And so I'm wondering, kind of the team you've assembled and the fact that people can walk in and talk with people who certainly, have built up that sort of that local reputation of knowledgeable purveyors of those kind of items is pretty important, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, without a doubt. But I have to admit, beyond our knowledge base, I would tell you in one way, it really still comes down to, there's the Maya Angelou statement where she said that people will forget what you do and what you say, but they'll always remember how you make them feel.
Mm.
And these days, I talked a little bit about how retail has changed so much. Even as much as 10 years ago, information really where it was available, it wasn't as readily available as it is today. So more and more where, our staff used to have to know more than our customers do.
Hmm.
A lot of times, oddly enough, our customers know as much or even more than our staff does.
Hmm.
Yeah, when somebody started sharing that with me maybe 5 or so years ago, I kind of was taken aback by that.
Yeah.
But yes, they do ask questions, of course. And a lot of times they've done more research, than we have about a very specific topic,
Hmm.
whether it's a product or a update or, something new in the industry.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of humility that goes with the words, I don't know, but let's find out.
Hmm.
And I think that actually, in a way, serves us in that it's okay these days to not to know everything, but the ability to recognize that and turn that into a hey, let's learn something together scenario.
Hmm.
Now you're building relationships. We're all people,
Yeah.
right? We've all got a certain amount of knowledge that we can hold on to, and between the bike and ski world, it's changing so quickly all the time
Sure.
that I think really approachability um, goes probably maybe even a little bit further than knowledge does these days.
Interesting. Interesting. Um, it's funny, we talking to folks and realizing, boy, this last few years have been such a struggle. Obviously, the pandemic takes center stage with that. But of course, the residual impacts of supply chain issues and labor force issues and inflation and those sorts of things. Maybe walk us through, how you as a small business owner in Bend in the outdoor retail space, how have you, overcome those challenges?
Sure. You seem to think that I've overcome them. Yeah, boy, there's a lot of points in there to be made.
Hmm.
When the pandemic first hit, the whole world went through a reshuffling of, for lack of a better way to describe it, figuring it out.
Yeah.
Everything from schools to food to healthcare to, what can you do, can't you do, and then how do you run a business where people are expecting to be able to come into a store at a time when realistically you couldn't let people into a store. That's really where we started.
Yeah.
Fortunately, in the state of Oregon, we were considered an essential business.
Hmm.
Bike shops were, and that was a transitionary period. It was pretty scary for a little bit, but very quickly we started figuring out that bikes were going to be in high demand,
Yeah.
and our services were going to be in need because you could really only, for the most part, go outside to do stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so the bike industry all of a sudden ramped up, supply chains shut down, um, and fortunately we were able to get in line early and continue to get product through most of the pandemic.
Okay.
Then coming out of the pandemic, well, I should do this. During the pandemic, it was hard business, but there was a lot of it to be had.
Okay.
Now coming out of the pandemic, the market is saturated, supply is bountiful, and quite honestly, it's a saturated market right now. It's probably going to take us another year and a half for us to get through it, even including this past year.
Obviously, the community is very special to you, and you've lived there for a long time, and you're a business owner there. This concept of giving back to the community, describe it however you like, in terms of how you want to, or how you do, support the very place that you call home.
Yeah, yeah. So we have a lot of different ways that we go about it, whether it's through simple things like classes and clinics and group rides. We actually have an entire program called our Community Ambassador Program. And with that program, we work to identify one nonprofit here in Central Oregon to uh, to basically draw as much exposure and raise as much funds for as we can for one entire year. And that one nonprofit is focused on either access to healthcare, education, shelter, food.
Hmm.
We're really talking about basic life things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we even wrapped up a fundraiser last night uh, for a couple organizations, and then one in Bend called the Giving Plate.
Okay.
They're a local food pantry. They serve over 4,000 meals a month.
Hmm.
So yeah, we did a big fundraiser last night. Had a bunch of fun. Had all the people from the Central Oregon outdoor community come join us. But make no bones about it. We're gonna watch some movies. We're gonna have a great night, and you're gonna donate some money tonight.
Yeah.
And, fortunately, we've got a great community here in Bend that I think one of the great things about Bend is that it's not so big that you don't feel like you can't make a difference. And people you can participate in this community and move the needle.
Yeah. Yeah. Dan, my last question for you is sort of, on this Black Friday, which traditionally, a huge shopping day, people are out, and from your perspective, there in Bend, in the industry you're in, but also,
Yep.
just as a small business owner, is there a message that you hope resonates with people, on this arguably busiest shopping day?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really simple. Go out and support your local businesses, whether they're restaurants, whether they're retailers, whoever that they might be, and especially, Michael. I had this conversation last night with a packed house at the Tower Theater.
Hmm.
It's been a long time since I've heard business owners in Bend saying, "Hey, it's slow, and it's slow across the board right now."
Hmm.
So if you're thinking about going to buy, if you're thinking about going shopping, hit that local boutique, go to the local bike shop, go to the local bookstore, go to that local restaurant. The economic impact when dollars are spent with a locally owned business or a small business are four times that versus a big box store.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, about 40% of your dollars actually go to fuel the local economy. It's a massive impact. And this year, it seems like it can be more impactful than ever.
Yeah. Good enough. Good message.
Yeah.
Dan McGarrigle, the owner of Pine Mountain Sports, really appreciate you spending some time with us and talking about your business and talking about Black Friday and talking about community and localism.
Sure. Yeah. Michael, thanks for having me on, man. I really appreciate you.
I'm Michael Dunn, and you're listening to Oregon on the Record from KLCC and our show about small business retailers and Black Friday. Our next guest makes jewelry for active outdoor consumers, and she's a great believer in teaching the next generation of business owners. Bronwyn Lodato, the owner of Bronwyn Jewelry of Bend. Thanks so much for talking with us.
Well, thanks for having me. It's a joy to be here.
Yeah. Why don't you tell us about Bronwyn Jewelry, what you do, how you do it, how long you've been there, the kind of the details of your business.
Yeah, thanks. I am actually starting my 16th year of business.
Wow.
So we've been going a while here. We are an artisan line of jewelry designed for active women. So our brand is really rooted in the outdoor and active space. We make our jewelry by hand here in Bend, Oregon, and we sell wholesale, we sell retail online, and we have a beautiful flagship retail boutique downtown Bend.
Nice. Talk about, being in Bend. Talk about this idea of localism. As a small business owner, talk about the importance of supporting local businesses. And then, kind of how supporting a local business, how that, in your view, comes back to help a community.
Yeah, it's so critical. I was reminded of this last night as I was at an event, which is a fundraiser in town that I go to every year. And speaking about the years financially that we've had that feel extra abundant, and also the years that we've had that feel a little bit soft, 2023 being the latter. This is when small business owners rely on our local communities and our communities at large, but it's when we really really rely on our visibility in the community and for when our customers to come out and support us, because the difference of a few $1,000s is actually really huge to a small business. And so it actually, for a business owner and for someone here who employs a team of women that live here locally and love to live here, it's a huge part of what we do that makes us feel really proud and tied in and connected to our place and our people in a small community like this. And then it's a ripple effect, right? So if you're tied in and feeling grounded and participating in your community, then you're able to more easily and more fluidly participate in your community at large.
Yeah. Kind of, what does small business offer to customers, to a community that maybe the larger retailers can't?
Oh gosh, there's so many things. I mean, I could talk for hours on that. There is, at the risk of sounding cliche, they get the love of a product that has an actual person and or an actual team of humans behind it that are paying such close attention to what is getting made, what is getting shipped. Small business owners are working so hard all the time. We may be able to take vacations, but we never leave our businesses in our minds and in our hearts. Our employees are always at the top of our minds. We're constantly thinking about our customers and how we can better connect with them and more authentically connect with them. And I have to say, sure, everybody participates in big box store purchases, myself included.
Sure.
And that's okay too. But at every opportunity that you have an option to buy something that is the same or better than what you're considering purchasing from a huge, retailer, opting for the small business, you may not think it makes a difference, but it makes a world of difference to the person that is running that small business and is actively doing every step of the work along the way. And I'm not just talking about financially.
Sure.
I'm talking about creating a livelihood for not just the business owner, but their team as well. And that's, I have a group of women over here in the other room that are packing and shipping and making and photographing the jewelry that we send out every single day. And we're the end users as well. So we really understand our products and the customer service that we're giving and that so many other small businesses offer to their customers. You can't even compare.
Sure. You're also in the community, and I'd love to talk to you about how you and your shop and your team, how you give back to the community that you serve.
Well, thanks. I take great joy in being really active in my community. I like to know what's going on. Our community is changing really quickly and growing really quickly. Our demographics are changing very, very quickly. And we have really lovely people that live here in Bend, Oregon. Some of the things that I love to do are I like to contribute in ways that may seem insignificant to me at the time, and then I realize what an impact that they have. For instance, I recently was invited to go at OSU Cascades campus and speak in a business class. And, so many days I feel like I'm still figuring out how to run a business, even though I've been doing this for 16 years, but I didn't have a lot of formal training, and it's the kind of thing that you sort of figure out as you go along. And speaking to a group of young people that are considering going into business, you realize, oh gosh, I actually sort of have some good information to deliver to them, because I get to travel back in time and remember what I was doing in year 1, 2, 3, 5. And of course, that feels so nice to be of service
Sure.
to young people that perhaps might choose to take a path that's similar to mine. There's an organization in town called BOW, Bend Outdoor Works, and maybe you've heard of it. It's an accelerator program for businesses in the outdoor industry, and they have pitch fests, and they have panels and conferences that I love to be invited to be part of. A panel I did recently where I can just speak honestly and authentically about my business, and it really helps these young entrepreneurs that are in early stages of their businesses, and perhaps they're pitching for financial investment, or perhaps they're pitching for mentorship or otherwise. But it's a really great way to authentically connect with people in my community in all stages of business.
Sure. So Bronwyn, my last question for you is sort of, on this Black Friday, do you have a message for the community, for customers, for people who are thinking about, the holidays coming up and shopping? Do you have a message for them?
Well, I do. We actually participate in a movement that's called Opt Outside. And that is, we are not open on Black Friday. Our website, of course, takes orders, but
Sure.
Our retail store, we close on Thanksgiving and on Black Friday, and it's a paid holiday for my employees. And it's really to have a chance to be outside and enjoying the day with their families and their friends. And of course, I'll always encourage that. And yet I know that it's a big day for shopping online and out at stores in person. And I would say, there are a lot of small business owners that choose to be open on Black Friday because it's a hugely, hugely important day for their businesses as we near the end of our financial year. And it's a wonderful festive shopping day. And if you are out and about, certainly visit your small local retailers that have chosen to spend their day that day selling their products, because it's that important to them that as the year wraps up, they need all of our support in making those purchases. It's a great day to buy gifts.
Great. Well, Bronwyn Lodato, the owner of Bronwyn Jewelry in Bend, thanks so much for talking with us.
Oh, thanks for having me.
I'm Michael Dunn, and this is Oregon on the Record. Up next, you'll hear from 3 retailers in the Eugene-Springfield area that exemplify being embraced by the community and, in turn, embracing it right back. First up, we'll talk with a specialty watchmaker. Celeste Wong, designer and watchmaker at Celeste Watch Company in Springfield. Thanks so much for talking with us today.
Oh, well, thank you for having me.
Yeah. Why don't you start with the deets, as they say. Tell us about Celeste Watch Company, what you do, how you do it, how long you've been in business, that sort of a thing.
Sure. So Celeste Watch Company started, I sold my first watch back in 2015. And I started out at the Saturday market. What I wanted to do was do watches that had more art in them. I wanted to do watches that meant something, meaning beyond telling time.
Sure.
I felt like all of us had cell phones, and we didn't need to know what time it was anymore. But I really liked to wear a watch my whole life. And so I wanted to make these artistic dials that had meaning. And yeah, I started in the Saturday market. I used to go out there and I only had 4 watches on my table,
Wow.
and it was kind of funny. And I would talk to everybody who came just because I wanted to hear what they thought about them and whether it was going to be viable or not to launch this brand. And I'd sell 2 and I'd get really excited and I'd go home and I'd make another 4 because that was about all I could do at that time. I had another company. And the next week I'd come back with 6. It was kind of exciting. In 2017, I was doing pretty good, and I opened up a storefront on Main Street in Springfield,
Okay.
which is still where we are. So we just celebrated 6 years here, and we're having a lot of fun. I won Business Person of the Year in 2022, and I really like it. The community here is so supportive. That's the reason that I feel this business made it, is because I joined a community of people that I felt like I could depend on. We were all in this together. Everybody was encouraging each other. Um, I, I mean, I can actually, I can say that, I'm probably not being very articulate, but it really feels like the community is the reason that I'm here. It's the reason that I made it.
What can a local business, where the owner and the designer are the same person, and what can you do as a small business that maybe a large company just simply can't?
Oh, just like that, I could pivot. Anytime I see something and it doesn't look good for me, I can completely pivot just instantly the next day.
Yeah.
And I can try things, and like, throwing spaghetti at the wall to see if it sticks. Is it ready?
Yeah.
I can do stuff like that all the time and just see what people feel about it. And I can get feedback from people one-on-one. People feel like they can walk into the store and talk to me, which they can.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You've spoken eloquently about the community support. How about yourself and ways in which you try and strengthen your community?
Well, I do support all the local businesses around here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm constantly going out and getting coffee over at Lovely or the Washburn. Um, when the new neighbors moved in, I down a couple doors down, I went over there and talked to them a lot. I went to their ribbon cutting, trying to just give some support. I go around and meet everybody on the block. Try to get involved in the maker meetings or have maker events here at the shop so
Okay.
that people understand what I do.
Yeah.
Getting involved in the art walks.
It's
Yeah.
it's really that one-on-one kind of interpersonal relationship that's so important, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's really important to me, and I've seen it as really the best way to market also. Because once you know people, they tell their friends about you, and then that relationship is what gives so much value to what somebody is buying.
Yeah.
I feel it's the backbone of just being in the community.
Yeah. Black Friday has a meaning in this country. It's one of, if not the busiest shopping day of the year. And I kind of wanted to hear from you as a local business owner. What do you think Black Friday means, or maybe even more importantly, what do you think it should mean for people? And tie that into whatever you'd like, localism, your community, however you'd like to sort of answer that question.
Well, Black Friday here on Main Street is just another day. Usually on Black Friday, everybody's racing out trying to find sales for Christmas. And that's not really what I'm about. I'm more about the one-on-one interpersonal connection. I think Black Friday, a lot of people go to Walmart
Okay.
or they go to Best Buy or they get on Amazon. It's not really a day that I feel like supports downtown Main Street. Now, Small Business Saturday, the day right after that, is a strong day here because everybody is done, hustling to all of their sales. And then they kind of calm down and they come back here and they look for something that's more on the quality side. where they want connection also. It's kind of like I might do better because they went out and saw what the other side is living like.
That's a great point.
I don't repeat that, but it just kind of feels like I think people value me more after they go to Walmart, for example.
Sure. Makes sense.
Yeah. So Small Business Saturday is a big day here, and we all try to help each other. I think there was a bingo game the chamber was doing for a little while.
Yeah.
Where you could go from business to business, and that's fun because I like giving stamps to people.
Sure. Well, Celeste Wong, designer and watchmaker at Celeste Watch Company in Springfield. Really appreciate you talking with us.
No, well, it's no problem. Thanks for the offer.
Now you'll hear from a well-known shop whose items certainly live up to their name, Down to Earth. Rachel Klinert, the general manager for Down to Earth. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Yeah, why don't you tell us about Down to Earth. I know a lot of people know your store, but tell us about what Down to Earth is, what you do, what you sell, how long you've been there, that sort of a thing.
Okay. Down to Earth Home Garden and Gifts started out as a retail venture in an old laundromat next door to a natural foods grocery store here in Eugene in 1977.
Mm-hmm.
From there, expanded into a wholesale business and later a manufacturing unit that formulates and packages organic fertilizers. I've been with the company for 26 years.
Wow.
The last 9 years have been managing the store. We've been in the historic Lane County Farmers Union Cooperative Building since 1986, located downtown at 5th and Olive.
Mm-hmm.
The building spans one city block. It celebrated 100 years this year.
Wow.
We had a historic building tour.
You're a local business. I imagine the vast majority of your customers are from the local area. I imagine you do some online selling and whatnot. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, kind of talk a little bit, however you'd like to sort of describe it, talk about the importance of localism and answer that as a retail owner, but then also just as a member of the community. What does it kind of mean to you?
Ooh, that's really about giving back to the community in a way that people can relate to. So we do a lot of donations and fundraisers, different ones throughout the year. We support other small local businesses. They're our vendors.
Mm-hmm.
So, a lot of people are just starting out and they maybe want to sell their products in a local setting. And
Sure. So you're kind of, and not to denigrate another like a big online retailer, but that in some ways you kind of, as a local retailer, kind of do sort of the same thing. You give local businesses an opportunity who maybe would have a difficult time selling some of their products.
Exactly. It kind of helps them build their brand when you're just starting out.
Yeah. A lot of times people have, probably more so than ever, options, especially in the holiday season, to shop. Online, many huge, national chains, that sort of a thing. What do you think that a local retailer provides that maybe a big box store or a big online e-commerce platform does? What's sort of the secret sauce, you think, for being small and nimble and local?
I think people are looking for local retailers to carry local goods.
Mm-hmm.
And we support a lot of small businesses that way. We've got live holiday trees from a farm up in Dayton. We get Hazelnut Hill chocolates from Junction City. Just some favorites of ours. We've got this new company. It's a body care line. It's called Yarbs and Roots, and they make some lovely lotions. Their lotions are in a biodegradable bottle. It's like a lot of care goes into the products that we're selecting.
Sure. Do you feel like, especially here in Eugene, that kind of localism really matters to your customers?
It does.
Good enough. Well, Rachel Klinert, the general manager for Down to Earth, thanks so much for coming in and talking to us.
Thanks for inviting us.
And now you'll hear from a specialty shop whose quirky items fit well with Eugene's reputation. Christopher Randall, the owner of Chuck and Alice in Springfield, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Yeah, why don't you just tell us what is Chuck and Alice? What do you do? How do you do it? How long you been there? Give us the 30,000-foot view.
Chuck and Alice is the newest, cutest boutique on Main Street. We've been in business over 4 years, but we were at our new location at 414 Main Street, right between the Peddler and Pegasus Playhouse.
Okay.
It's everything you want, nothing you need, home goods, accessories, jewelry. A customer once described us as an angry Hallmark store with fun, cute stuff, but some stuff that might surprise you a little bit.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on the new store. You know, a subject a lot of times people talk about is this idea of localism, the idea of shopping local, about what sort of local businesses mean to a community. You know, talk about, from your perspective, you know, what localism means to you, the importance of shopping local, what it means to businesses, but in the community in general.
Right. It's our livelihood, our little shop. And I know most of the owners on Main Street, it's the same with them. It pays our bills. It supports our family. We thought we were just going to sell goods there at the little store, but we actually have made a ton of friends and have met a lot of people, and it's a great place to shop and hang out, and it's a safe environment. It's a good place to be.
You know, from your perspective, what is the secret sauce of a local retailer that maybe you just can't get online or at a larger, you know, corporate retail establishment?
Well, we work really hard at buying stuff that, you know, the big box stores don't have. That's it takes time to find those things that you won't find in a big box store. So when you buy stuff from one of those big box stores, there's 100 other people going to get the same gift. But when you buy from us, we buy really small batches, 2 or 3 items of each thing. It doesn't last long. That's one of the complaints from customers, that, you know, they saw it online or they saw it at my store and it's gone the next day. But that's the good thing too, is that you get original, fun stuff.
Sure. You know, my last question to you is kind of, you know, do you have a message for the wider community about Black Friday and Small Business Saturday, if you will, about this idea of supporting local?
It really, Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, those are huge days. Not so much if you're shopping online. Those companies are going to survive. That weekend is huge to us. That makes or breaks us. You know, a lot of businesses that go out of business, you see it happen in January, and it all just kind of stems from December and the Christmas shopping. And if people come out and support local, I know our customers do, and we appreciate them, and can't wait to see everybody.
Great. Well, Christopher Randall, the owner of Chuck and Alice in Springfield, thanks so much for talking to us.
Thank you.
I'm Michael Dunn, and you're listening to Oregon on the Record from KLCC and our show about Black Friday and local retail. Our next guests promote and nurture local shopping as a way to not only invigorate local economies, but to create a true sense of place. First, we'll head to the Oregon coast. Bettina Hannigan, who is the president and CEO of the Florence Area Chamber of Commerce, as well as the chair of the Oregon State Chamber, thanks so much for speaking with us.
My pleasure.
Yeah, as a chamber leader, can you talk about, you know, the importance of people considering, you know, purchases, shopping locally, especially this time of year with the holidays coming up, and just what do you think it means to a community, both sort of economically for those small businesses, but just generally speaking about that overall sort of support of local businesses?
For us on the coast, it's especially important because this is what we consider in the tourism world our shoulder season. So this is when our businesses are very slow. Tourism is down in the wintertime because, you know, it's rainy and blustery, and which is great tourism. If you want to come over and watch the king tides and everything, it's great. Build a fire, have a romantic getaway. But our businesses really struggle through the winter. And so when the holidays come this time of year, it's when you shop local, it makes a bigger difference than ever. And I know that that's the case with a lot of small communities across the whole state of Oregon. as well as the larger communities too. I think that we get caught up in the convenience of click and shop and we're done.
Sure.
And but you miss so much by doing that. You miss the relationship building you build with your neighborhood art supply store, or your knitting store, or whatever the location of that relationship that you build, and the support. And I think that we can talk about numbers. They say that American Express is reporting that out of every dollar that's spent local, 67 cents of that dollar stays in the community. And I think that when we have done surveys in the past, that they talk about a dollar that's spent inside of a community stays in that community 4 times before it goes out of the community.
Interesting.
So it's an exponential, way of impacting that community. So we send it out, our chamber, and I know that the Springfield Chamber and other chambers have embraced a program called YIFTE, YIFTEE, and ours it's a local community credit card that's run through the MasterCard platform, and it's free to the chambers to support, but it's businesses in your own community. So in our community, our card is called the Flocal card, like keeping the money flowing in Florence.
Sure.
And that money stays here in town. People can buy a credit card, and it can only be used in businesses that have signed up in our community. So we've got, in our little town, I think we have 56 businesses that are signed up. So somebody goes out and they say, I don't really know what to get somebody. Instead of getting them, a credit card to one of our bigger online organizations, we get them a Flocal card. Then they can go and they can use it in one of our local businesses, and it makes it convenient for the giver, and it makes it a lot of fun for the person who gets the card, because they can shop local and enjoy the benefits of having a gift card.
Sure. Bettina, this is such an unusual time, and I'm talking about from 2020 on to now, and obviously coming out of the pandemic, and certainly what impacts that had. Do you think that idea of shopping local was perhaps even enhanced, kind of coming out of the pandemic, and even now when you're talking about, a lot of businesses have been hit hard by global supply chain issues and of course inflation and a tight labor market, a lot of shocks to the system. I'm just wondering if that concept of shopping local, from your opinion, can help a community, and has helped a community such as the Oregon Coast, weather such difficult times.
I think that absolutely it does. And I know that myself, along with so many people in our area, during COVID, it was totally normal to leave a 30 to 40% tip, because we knew that we were supporting our local staff and employees and what they went through. I know that there's still a lot of people in our community that have literally PTSD from going to work during COVID and having people behave horrifically. And yet they had to get up the next day and go back to work. And they were just courageous. Our work staff and our people that have gone to work when they don't want to go to work. And I think that supporting local and shopping local just shows them that we really do care, that they made that investment, and they continue to support our communities. We think about, what does that mean? And it means, like, people are like, well, the chamber's all about business. And we are all about business because that's our job. But you'll hear me say all the time, hearts have chambers and the chamber has a heart. And we do what we do because we care. So when we've got people, employed with living wage jobs, they can take care of their families, they can take care of, medical issues, they can afford a decent home, hopefully, a reliable transportation, braces on the kids. So these things aren't just about supporting a business, they're about supporting that business that supports its staff and its employees. And I think it's really a bigger investment than we see when we realize, you go to the elementary school and you see the kids getting dropped off for school there in the morning, and the parents are struggling to find childcare, and all of the challenges that they're going through to get it, to stay afloat. At the same time, those kids that are going to school and learning are tomorrow's workforce, and they're going to be tomorrow's workforce real quick.
Yeah.
10 years goes by pretty darn fast, and that kid that's going to second grade now is going to be graduating in a blink of an eye. And we need them to have a healthy environment, to feel safe, to have food, to not be scared, so that they can be good students and learn and grow up and be a good workforce to support our communities.
Yeah, excellent. Well put. Bettina Hannigan, the president and CEO of the Florence Area Chamber of Commerce and also the chair of the Oregon State Chamber, really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us.
My pleasure, and thanks for reaching out to us. And come over to the coast for the holiday festival on December 2nd. It's going to be fun. We've got hay rides and all kinds of good stuff going on.
Good enough. And now we'll talk with another group that believes local and unique are synonymous with growth. Dwight Collins, the chair of Unique Eugene, welcome to the program.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Why don't you start with this? Tell us about what is Unique Eugene. What's your mission?
It was a group of independent local businesses, and we've been almost 25 years. And it started out just promoting among ourselves, networking, and getting the message of buying local and how important it is for the community.
Yeah. What makes Eugene, and perhaps even larger our metro area, unique, especially when it comes to thinking local?
Eugene is a very fertile place for, buying local, whether it's from the farms, whether it's the seafood. And so it really, we're partners with each other in a lot of local things and businesses particularly. To me, as I've traveled around in other places, and you just want to see those small little businesses, owner run, that just develop a character for the community. And Eugene has done that. I've lived in Eugene all my life. Newman's has been in business since 1890. Sure. So, I have a feel for the history here. And it is, small businesses just help define the community itself, and giving back to the customer base also is very important for our businesses.
Yeah, I bet. Still, a lot of people, when they think, Black Friday and holiday shopping, they might think, the larger retailers or the large online retailers. What do you think local retailers, what's the case that a local retailer can make to say, hey, don't forget about us? Not just yes, it's great to keep the money local and that sort of thing, but what are local retailers? What's their secret sauce that maybe is better than what you could get at a larger establishment?
Yes, certainly you can get the personal service that that a lot of the larger box stores and national stores don't have that ability to do. So you can really develop a relationship and enjoy the service that you're getting. It is the multiplier effect of the dollar spent is very important too. And certainly I want my customers or other customers just to think about when they're spending dollars, whether or not it's keeping it in the community.
Dwight, my last question for you is sort of, what's your hope for this Black Friday and this holiday shopping for the members of Unique Eugene and just in general, just your brethren, small business owners, small business retailers here in Eugene?
Once again, it's that message that we're here, and don't get lost in this huge message from corporate America of you need to go to go shop and save all kinds of money, and it is look around the corner, enjoy whether it's the coffee shop down the street, whether it's a retailer that it does depend upon your patronage. Just have a consciousness in your spending.
Great. Well, Dwight Collins, the chair of Unique Eugene, thanks so much for coming in. Really appreciate it.
Enjoyed it. Thank you.
That's the show for today. Black Friday and the lesser known but equally important Small Business Saturday are good reminders that shopping local has a critical role in our economy. Local businesses are like nets that keep money, employees, and community investment from leaving. And beginning on this Black Friday and continuing throughout the holidays, it might be a good consideration for all of us to think local. I want to thank my guests for coming on the show and talking with us. Dan McGarrigle of Pine Mountain Sports, Bronwyn Lodato of Bronwyn Jewelry, Celeste Wong of Celeste Watch Company, Rachel Klinert of Down to Earth, Bettina Hannigan of the Florence Chamber, and Dwight Collins of Unique Eugene. This show, along with all episodes of Oregon on the Record, is available at klcc.org. I'm Michael Dunn, and this has been Oregon on the Record from KLCC. Thanks.